What is up everyone, Technic here, and Happy New Year. Now, in today's video, I'll be teaching you how to hack your PS Vita in 2023, and this is by far the easiest method that I have ever done in the history of me hacking PS Vitas. The past PS Vita hacker in me is just like jumping with joy right now because I have never in my life seen it done this easy. It's actually insane. So this will work whether you have a PS Vita 1000, a PS Vita 2000, or a PlayStation TV or PlayStation Vita TV. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now, as I mentioned before, I am no stranger when it comes to putting custom firmware on a PlayStation Vita. Whether it be a PlayStation Vita 1000, a PlayStation Vita 2000, or a PlayStation TV, I've done it all, and I've done it several times now. Now, in the past, I recommended that you would have to put your PS Vita on either 3.60 or 3.65 to get started and all that. You had to do a long, lengthy downgrading process, and you had to hook your PS Vita into the computer several times. In some cases, you had to install games and then turn these games into actual executable applications to even get into custom firmware. And as you can see, my PS Vita is still running the OG 3.60 Intel, and you don't have to do any of that anymore. Like I said, you absolutely can just straight up do this from your PS Vita. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the first step of everything. Alright, first off, let's go ahead and get started. Now, step one, and this is very, very important. Step one is to please make sure that your device has a full charge. I want you to take a look at your PS Vita, take a look at the top right, and if it doesn't have a full green bar like that, do not proceed. Please just stop the video for a second and just put your PS Vita on the charger, make sure it's fully charged. That is the biggest recommendation I can give. So nothing goes wrong basically. Please make sure that your device is fully charged. If you have a PS TV or a PS Vita TV, you obviously don't have to worry about this because you are on a wire connection and you're already good to go. Now, although on psvita.hacks.guide, the tutorial says that you really do not need any type of memory card. For the PS Vita 1000, I'm very sorry, but I still do recommend that you have some kind of memory card. It's just going to be like a 4 gig. You can install a SD2Vita plugin later on, get an SD2Vita, and have a bigger memory card after that. But I'm still a firm believer that you do need it because the only thing that you're going to do on a PS Vita 1000 in this tutorial, the farthest that you're going to get is the temporary custom firmware because you need the extra storage for everything else. So I'm sorry to say it, but for PS Vita 1000 specifically, I still recommend that you get a memory card because, again, the farthest that you're going to go is on temporary custom firmware. And for the last step in preparation, just go ahead and do me a favor and go into your settings. Now scroll all the way down until you get to power save settings. And there's something very important that I want you to turn on. So when it says enter standby mode automatically, yours is most likely going to be set to 1 minute. Please do me a big favor and set it to after 30 minutes. You do not want your PS Vita going into sleep mode. This also goes into why you want your PS Vita charged, because you don't want your PS Vita dying as you're doing this. And I cannot stress this enough. You will either brick your device, the entire process is going to fail because of it either going to sleep or dying, or you could potentially mess up your PS Vita. So I cannot stress this enough. Do those 3 things before anything, and after that, you are good to go to get started. The old school modder inside of me is screaming internally right now, but that's right. The first step is to connect to some Wi-Fi or connect to the internet, whether you're on the PS TV, and update your software to the latest firmware. The latest firmware is 3.74. So go ahead and go to your settings, go ahead and go to update via Wi-Fi, and go ahead and update your PS Vita. Continue through the prompts. It's going to close all your applications. It's going to make you agree to the terms of service. Go ahead and hit accept. Go ahead and hit next. And then go ahead and hit update. And then wait for the installation to be done. Alright, now that that's all said and done and your PS Vita has rebooted, go ahead and go into your settings. Go ahead and scroll down until you get into your system settings and then system information. And at that point you can see that your PS Vita is now on 3.74, which is the latest custom firmware. Congratulations, you have successfully updated your PS Vita, and now we can proceed to the next step. Alright, now as I said before, this entire process is going to be done straight from the PS Vita. No computers required, no data transfer cables required, anything like that. Nothing like that. So go ahead and get onto your Wi-Fi on your newly updated 3.74 PS Vita, and then go into your internet browser. We're going to be going to a website. Go ahead and close the bookmarks page. Go into your address bar, and you're going to be typing in http:// deploy psp2 dev, and I will be putting this on the screen, by the way. Once all that's entered, go down to that green enter button and your PS Vita will do something very cool. Just an extra thing to add, if you are on a PS Vita 1000 with no memory card, you're just going to be going to the replace near with Vita deploy, and that's going to be the end of it for you. So you're going to be going to replace near with Vita deploy. If you have a memory card in your 1000 or you have any other model, we're going to proceed regularly. So we're going to be going to install Henkaku. So go ahead and scroll down, and no matter what PS Vita you have, whether it's the US version or Japanese version, it's going to be the X button. So go down to install Henkaku, and it's going to install temporary custom firmware on your PS Vita. After that it's all done, we're going to be going into your settings application on your PS Vita now, and you're going to notice a couple new things. So let's go ahead and go into the settings. As you can see a new section called Henkaku settings. Go ahead and go into it. Make sure enable PSN spoofing is checkmarked. Make sure enable unsafe homebrew is checkmarked, and make sure enable version spoofing is checkmarked. Then go into version spoofing and make sure you type in 3.74. This ensures that no matter what custom firmware that you're on, you're going to be on 3.74 in the eyes of Sony. This is what that basically means. So you'll still be able to play online and everything. There are a few other options, and you can mess with them if you want, but in this video I'm only showing you the required method for putting custom firmware in PS Vita. And as you can see, you are on 3.74 Henkaku, so this is not INSO. Again, this is temporary custom firmware. The moment that you turn off your PS Vita, you have to go into the website again, or in a case that you don't have a memory card, you're going to have to go into the newly created quote-unquote application that you just created with Vita Deploy. So your near application will be turned into the Vita Deploy that you just did from the website. So you technically can still do it, but you're not going to go any farther than temporary custom firmware if you do not have a memory card for the PS Vita 1000 specifically. Now later on, after you are done installing custom firmware, and I'm just showing you, I just rebooted my device. As you can see, it's just back on regular firmware 3.74. So now I'm going to reinstall the temporary custom firmware, and I'm going to teach you how to do permanent custom firmware now. Alright, so now go ahead and exit out of your settings, and we're going to be checking out the new application that was installed onto our PS Vita. If you were to scroll down, you're going to see a new application called Vita Deploy. Go ahead and go into Vita Deploy. And make sure you press the start one, not the install. Go to the start one. Not install, start. And you're going to see a couple of things, but what we're going to be doing is clicking on install a different OS. And then you're going to click on quick 3.65 install. What this is going to do is basically enter into the Modoro application, which it's insane because Vita Deploy is basically your one-stop shop into putting custom firmware on your PS Vita now. Whether it's temporary or it's permanent, it's just a one-stop shop. You can basically do everything with Vita Deploy now, and it's honestly insane. Now there's the Modoro menu that I know and love. So at this point in time, this part of the video is all about downgrading your PS Vita to 3.65 now. And again, back then it was a lengthy process. Now it's all on one application. So you're going to hit the X button to confirm that you want your firmware to be downgraded to 3.65. Please read the warning. This is going to make permanent modifications to your PS Vita. Considering that the PS Vita is now a discontinued handheld, this really isn't too much of a worry, and go ahead and press the X button to install the terms of service. And honestly, the actual chances of your PS Vita messing up from this are very, 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 very slim. Like very slim. You're really not doing much of a risk here. It's honestly you downgrading your PS Vita from 3.75 or 3.74 to 3.65, and it's very safe. You have my seal of approval. It's very safe to do this. Alright, and now that your PS Vita is rebooted, we're going to go ahead and go into the settings and see what happened. So as you can see, we still have Henkaku settings. And if we go down the system and system information, your PS Vita is now on 3.65, but this is not 3.65 Henkaku. It fully installed 3.65 Enzo. So congratulations, and I am not joking about this. You are now on permanent custom firmware. That's it. It's that easy. All you had to do is go into Vita Deploy, and as soon as you downgraded your PS Vita to 3.65, you're now on 3.65 Enzo. And again, don't forget to go into the Henkaku settings and turn your PS Vita spoofing to 3.74. Make sure all three of those at the top are checked. And I'm going to go ahead and reboot my device. You do not have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and reboot my device to show you that you are still in Enzo. Now, in the past, Enzo has a cool boot up animation, which you can totally install later on if you want to. But for demonstration purposes, I wanted to reboot my PS Vita to show you that if I go into my settings and enter into it, the Henkaku settings will still be in there. And if I went to my system information and checked my firmware, I would still be on 3.65. So I just did that to show y'all that you are now on permanent custom firmware. So if you were to reboot your device, turn it off, turn it back on, you're on permanent custom firmware now. So congratulations on that. Now for the finishing touches, we're going to go ahead and go back into Vita Deploy. And then we're going to go into the app downloader. Now the app downloader is kind of a cool app in itself. It has a lot of the custom firmware apps that are kind of essential to your, not kind of essential, these are absolutely essential to your PS Vita. So the only ones that we're going to be worried about are Vita Shell and ITLS installer. Now, if you I'm going to kind of scroll through the PS Vita to see like what they have, and for the people that have already modded your PS Vita, or for the people that are used to it, you're going to recognize some of these apps. You're not going to need Enzo installer because you already have Enzo. For the ITLS installer, you're definitely going to need that. YAMT installer, that's for when you get your ST to Vita. And that's going to be a whole nother video in itself. PKGJ, that's also going to be a whole nother video in itself. Adrenaline, that is also going to be a whole nother video in itself, because I want to make sure that when I install them and when I show them on the video that they will work for y'all. So that's going to be tests that I'm going to do on my own. They also have battery fixture, reg edit, and a lot of other things. But again, for right now, and I'm not even going to worry about the Vita database downloader. That's the Vita Homebrew browser, and I'm not going to worry about that. All we're going to be doing is installing Vita Shell and ITLS installer, so check mark those and then go up to the top and install them. It's going to be a fairly quick install. Not going to take too long. And this, again, from a standpoint from somebody that has been hacking PS Vitas like since the beginning, the team that made this, they're honestly amazing for this one. This is a headache like going away in itself. So when it's all done, it says you can now exit the application. Go ahead and press the home button, close out Vita Deploy, and as you can see, we have Vita Shell and we have ITLS Enzo. Now ITLS Enzo is going to patch your internet browsers so you can be able to browse the internet and do other things while you're on Enzo, and it's basically going to update the internet browser to make sure that everything is fine. So if you are on Enzo, you will be installing the full ITLS package, and if you're on temporary custom firmware, you will be installing the compact module. Okay, so it's going to take a little while to install, but not too long, and your PS Vita is going to immediately reboot after that. And congratulations, your PS Vita is now running full permanent custom firmware 3.65 Enzo. Again, this is something that I did not expect to happen, in the beginning of the new year, but I'm happy to definitely make a video on it because this method is way easier than any other method that I've shown on my channel. And honestly, I'm pretty happy that it's got to this point. Oh, another important thing. I know you just saw me go into my settings and in my auto start settings. So you see that first option, download update file for system software. Make sure that is unchecked. You do not want your PS Vita downloading an update because you're going to have to do this all over again. And I guess the easiest, greatest part about it is, as you can see, it's not that hard to hack your PS Vita anymore. You can do it all straight from the PS Vita itself. And here is me going into Vita Shell because me being an old school hacker, I need to make sure that everything was done right and how good Vita Deploy is. So I'm going to go into my UR0 and I'm scrolling down and there should be a TIE folder in there, and I'm going to go into my UX0 and make sure that there isn't a TIE folder in there. Now in the past, this was a huge problem, and this is how people ran into a lot of issues with their PS Vita. And I'm happy to see that Vita Deploy just perfectly installs it. It just puts the TIE folder in the UR0, and I am very, very happy to see that, by the way. So at this point in time, your PS Vita is now fully modded with custom firmware. Please tune in for the next video and I'm going to show you how to install PKGJ on your PS Vita, and the following video after that I'm going to show you how to install Adrenaline. And again, I'm going to be doing this with the brand new method, so this is all going to be done through Vita Deploy. What I'm expecting is, I think you just check mark that application box in the Vita Deploy, and it should install everything okay. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a very quick video on that. And I'm also going to be making a following video after this to show you which PS Vita custom firmware applications that I think you should have that will really make your PS Vita pop and look cool. But other than that, that's going to be the end of my tutorial. I tried not to make this a lengthy video, but at the same time, I tried to cover all the bases, so nothing was misinterpreted or anything like that, and you don't mess up your PS Vita. That's the last thing I want. So this is Technic. Thank you all for watching my video. If you like this video, leave a like. If you like this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I do have more videos coming very soon. But this is Technic. Y'all have a great day.